how we end this war. And it makes a big difference to tell the American people the truth about what our options are in ending this war. If tomorrow the order goes out from I'm President of the United States, I issue an order, end the war today, begin to withdraw all American troops. It will take a year to get the American troops out. Do you hear me now? That's the truth. It will take a year to get them physically out. Now, if you leave all the equipment behind, you might be able to do it in 7 months. And you leave those billions of dollars of weapons behind, I promise they're going to be used against your grandchild and mine someday.
Who is that man, and what did they do with Joe Biden? That guy. Joe Biden, sitting there in 2007, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, talking about the Joe Biden of today. Literally talking and warning against what Joe Biden has done today in Afghanistan. What did Joe Biden do? He just said, no, we're going to pull out of Afghanistan. He did exactly what that guy said not to do. So what happened to Joe Biden? What have they done to him? It's a great question. What did they do to Joe Biden? Joe Biden was a relatively successful in so much as people kind of liked him. He ran for president a few times. People worked with him. He, did his job in the Senate. So what have they done to him now? I think that it's pretty obvious what they're doing. I think it's quite obvious. They're preying on a man in severe mental decline who has severe limitations on his capacity to think and rationalize. They're preying on him. It's elder abuse, and they are using him in order to get Obama's third term. I think that has become quite obvious to everybody who's watching. I think it's become quite obvious to anyone who's looking at this pragmatically. And you can see it in the way that Joe Biden talks and interacts. You remember how clairvoyant, he was there? Did you hear him talking? Do you remember how kind of quick and concise his thoughts were? Listen to Joe Biden now and tell me if you see the difference or hear the difference.
Station is like back in the day when my grandpa worked for the American Oil Company back in the turn of in the 1920 in that area. They went from state to state convincing people that allowed them to put 20,000 gallons of gasoline under the ground. They didn't want them around. No, I'm going to answer one. I'm not going to answer Ethiopia. Let's stick on the debt so we don't confuse the American people. How are we going to get this done and so on? Well, I told you before what my neurosurgeon years ago said when I had that aneurysm. A visiting field. Come walking out of the gym if you want, and you may get jumped by the other team or their supporters. You may be all by yourself, the only one standing there when you watch 6 people jump one of our teammates. I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential. I wrote the bill on the environment. Pay them more. $1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store and in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. What happened? When I talk to all your folks out in the playground, as I joked, everybody knows I like kids better than people. Fortunately, they'll like me. That's why maybe I like them. Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care.
Is there going to become a time where you might call him, old friend to old friend, and ask him to open up China to the World Health Organization investigators who are trying to get to the bottom of COVID-19? Let's get something straight. We know each other well. We're not old friends. It's just pure business. And Ange walks up to me and goes, "Joey, baby!" Grabs my cheek, and I thought the Secret Service was going to blow his head off. We have the tools. Now we just have to finish the job with truth. Pay your fair share. Just pay a decent portion of what we lay out in this piece of legislation. With providing professional education beyond 12 years. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. I used to love to drive. They don't let me drive anymore. And I have a beautiful Corvette sitting in my garage. I view it as a tax cut for middle-class families.
A tax cut. We never have an argument when we talk about with the wealthy. This is a tax cut. It changes the lives. We have fewer democracies in the world today than we did 15 years ago. Fewer. Not more, fewer. And global health threat and a global health threat council. I can't think of anyone better to lead this operation than Deanne Criswell of FEMA. The looks like a tornado. They don't call them that anymore. I was able to go to the private portion with 40% of all products coming into the United States of America on the West Coast go through Los Angeles and what am I doing here?
What you're doing for the country.
Well, thank you.
Mr. President, what did you
Chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah. Mr. President, what is your message to Republicans who are prepared to block the January 6th commission?
Eat some chocolate chip. The first part of your question was, I can't remember now.
Should police officers, emergency responders, be mandated to get vaccines? And if not, should they be stay at home or let go?
Yes and yes. Now we're going to get down to business here. And Ron, who am I turning this over to? The two things that concern me. One are those who just try to make this a political issue. Freedom. I'm joined by the executive director of the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach, Gene Soroka, and Mario Cordono. I apologize. And so ultimately, we've got a lot of work to do, and thank you all very much. But some of the stuff, QAnon, the idea that the Democrats or the Biden is hiding people and sucking the blood of children no, I'm serious. Are there people in the Republican Party who think we're sucking the blood out of kids? No, the old expression, time is money. As one computer said, if you're on the train and they say Portal Bridge, you better make other plans.
Must it be a reconciliation?
What must be what? I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Thank you for watching. We are 100% independent news. Are you sick of being lied to? We certainly are. That's why we started this channel. But we can't do it without you. We can't keep going without your help. All we ask is that you click like and subscribe and share this video. It's free. And it keeps us going, it keeps us growing, and it keeps us getting the truth out there to break the rotted corporate media infrastructure that wants to lie to you every single day, wants to corrupt your narratives, your truth, your story, and your very society. So support us by clicking like, clicking subscribe, and thank you, Patriots.